Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow. They got it done. They won that game. That was the craziest game I have probably ever called, emotionally speaking, in my entire life. Okay? I was feeling happy. I was feeling stoked. I was feeling fired up. Then I felt angry. Then I felt sad. I was going through all 5 stages of grief when I was watching that game because I was so literally disgusted and I was so upset. I was so nervous. I was just literally just feeling myself as soon as I was watching that game. And how it played out, okay, it was not the prettiest game by any means. It was not the prettiest game. But when push came to shove, when it was down to the wire, they got the job done. And they snagged that game from Boston. And Boston almost came back and they almost won it. But Philly did everything that they possibly could just to hang on. And it started off with the beard himself, James Harden. I don't know what went on over those last 2 games. But tonight, they needed James Harden down that stretch. And it makes you think that if James Harden even played average in Game 3, this potentially could be a 3-1 series. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. But James Harden was incredible tonight. Oh my gosh, he was absolutely sensational. Did the Sixers catch a little bit of a break? Maybe, but I will tell you one thing. Okay? Jason Tatum pushed Tyrese Maxey. The whole Marcus Smart thing too, with taking the charge. What was that call? Really? The Sixers, they got it done. They won the game. It didn't matter how they did it. They won. So now you go back into Boston. You put the pressure on them. Even though I still think that the Sixers have to win Game 5. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But man, I just really have to say that James Harden was spectacular. And I think that is where you have to start it off. The second quarter, man. I said during the pregame show, if James Harden's going to get things going, he's going to have to make the mid-range jumpers. And he's going to have to find ways to get space, beat guys on the dribble, take on guys like Robert Williams and Al Horford. And he got those matchups. And you know what he did? He won every single one of those battles. And then when Jaylen Brown started guarding him, he was actually feeling himself because he was gaining confidence. So that plays a really huge factor. James was sensational. He goes from having a Ben Simmons type of a game for 2 games in a row to playing like Michael Jordan. That's what it comes down to. You can't write this up. You can't make this stuff up. The other thing that I saw tonight from a lot of these guys is that there was just hustle. Like, there was just this sort of tone setter at the very beginning. They took control of this game. And from the moment that tip-off occurred, they were focused. They tried to box guys out. They were grabbing rebounds. They were making sure that they were doing the littlest things correct. Even so, when they made a big mistake in that fourth quarter, and that fourth quarter was atrocious on so many levels. We'll get to that in a little bit. But they found ways. And they got it done. And from early on, they made the right plays. They were out hustling Boston in so many different areas. Jason Tatum was so cold in that first half. And part of the reason why wasn't just because of Tyrese Maxey. Because Maxey, I thought, played really good defense on Tatum in the very beginning. I really just felt like Jason Tatum was just in his own head, though, for the most part. And he wasn't, going to the lane. The shots weren't falling for him. And then in that second half, he just started to get things going by going into the lane and by dominating in that area. He was making layups. He was making dunks. And once he started to feel himself in that regard. He was making some big-time shots. And, again, that's what big-time players do. But with that being said, I really feel like that this team should be proud of themselves in a sense because they stuck with everything that they possibly could, and they won the game. They did. Where do I go from here? I started to make some notes, and I've been all over the place right now because I'm still getting over or trying to figure out how they won this game. The one big thing, though, I felt like really made the difference in this game. Boston retakes the lead. Okay? It's like 101-96. And Malcolm Brogdon hits a 3 to make it a 5-point game with 2 minutes left. I actually thought there's no way that this team is going to come back and even tie the game. But what happens? James Harden comes out of the timeout, makes a nice mid-range bucket. Money. After that, the Sixers get a stop. And then, Tobias Harris, I don't know why he was going for the shot, but he did. He tried to go for a 2. Embiid wasn't there to get the rebound, but PJ Tucker comes right in. And he makes a putback. And he got fouled. And he's yelling in Joel Embiid's ear. He's getting the fans going. And if it were not for that specific play, that changed the game. That actually, I think, changed their season. Because if they go down 3-1, they're 99.9% not winning this series. But that was huge. Absolutely incredible. And they needed it. So, and then we go to overtime. And we go to the whole James Harden show. I knew that he had this in him. I truly did. I just demand greatness. As a fan, as somebody that covers the team, he can do this. Game 1 wasn't just a fluke. But it's funny because tonight they needed him to be special. And he answered the bell. He can do this. He went from Ben Simmons to Michael Jordan, like I just said. He took over that game. That's what Michael Jordan would have done. And they needed all those shots down the stretch. Okay, Marcus Smart almost made that 3. That scared me. I'm not going to lie. But sometimes in the playoffs, you need a little bit of luck, even when things were going unlucky for the Sixers. Seriously, because that's how it was. The calls were bad for the Sixers. The refs made some horrendous calls. Really bad calls down the stretch. But they fought through that adversity. They stuck to their guts. And they snagged you that win. Insane. I want to also mention that Tyrese Maxey, he's struggling. However, even though the shots really weren't falling, I actually thought that he had a big layup, first of all, in overtime to get things started. Like, that was huge. The other thing that I thought was a really big thing for Maxey was I noticed that he was trying to, first of all, he wasn't stopping his shot. Like, he was still trying to go at it and attack the rim. He was still trying to do that and keep that mindset going. I liked, though, that he was so focused on trying to get rebounds and trying to tip the ball out to a teammate. Because that says to me, okay, I'm not having my night shooting. I'm struggling in this series. But let me help my team out in other ways to try to help them win. That's the mindset that I want. That's why I love this kid. because he has heart. And even though there's times where he's not going to have his night shooting-wise, this is a growing experience for him, and he needs this. He needs this in order for him to get better. He's only 22 years old, and yet people want to put all the pressure on him. He has to grow into it. He has to have experiences and be able to learn from them. And tonight, I actually thought that even though it doesn't show up on the stat sheet, I thought that he did some really good things. He played some really good defense, man-to-man, too. Probably the best defense I've ever seen Tyrese Maxey play. Arguably. It was sensational on that end. Let's talk about the fourth quarter. Okay, because I know a lot of people are probably going to talk about it, and they're probably going to have a lot to say. I was not happy. I was not happy with the fourth quarter and how everything played out. I figured that Boston was going to make a run. I didn't expect Boston to come back and make it, and retake the lead. I didn't expect that. I expected that the Sixers were going to try to find some answers, and it wouldn't be as late as it was. But that was disturbing. However, everybody got in position, and James Harden took that game over. He just did. I can't be mad if this team won a playoff game and were able to get the job done. If they were to lose, okay, then we're having obviously a different conversation. I have to admit that. We are, because then they would have lost the game. I'm just so happy that they pulled through. And again, they got a little bit of luck, sure. You can look at it that way. But Boston had some things going their way and things that weren't going their way. This is how the NBA playoffs work. It's 2-2 now. It's a best-of-3 series. I've said that the series is not over. And it's not over. There's a reason why you have to win 4 games. There's a reason why you have to take 4 games out of the 7. It's just the facts. I talked about PJ Tucker. It's funny because no teams or neither team scored to start off that fourth quarter. And that was the first bucket, I think, was from Jason Tatum with 7:58 left to go in the fourth quarter. But yeah. That was wild. That was one of the wildest basketball games I've ever seen. That's the craziest basketball game emotionally that I've ever had to call. Seriously. Harden was huge. Even if you thought that the Sixers weren't even going to win or shouldn't have won, you do have to say to yourself that James Harden was big. Can't you be happy with James Harden coming up huge in those moments? Isn't that at least a positive takeaway from this win? You won the game. That should be a plus. Okay, it didn't look appealing to the eye. I was scared. I was nervous. But they won. They beat arguably the best team in the NBA. They did that. Previous teams that were a part of the Sixers would have never, ever won that game when they were giving up the lead like that. That's all I got to say. All right, I want to hear from you guys down below. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are about this game. What do you think went well? What do you think didn't go so well? Before I actually open it up to you guys, though, I will say that I thought that Doc Rivers tonight was a little bit hesitant in some ways. And the Sixers, I thought, saved his bacon because the talent executed at the end. And here's why. Okay, hear me out on this. 10 minutes left in the game. Boston's going on a run. You have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and all their starters out there. Match their intensity. If they're going out there with all their starters, you are the ones that actually have your backs against the wall because you have to win this game. You're up by a lot. They're putting on everybody that they possibly can on the court to help them win. It's just plain and simple logic. You got to match it. Embiid came back in. It was after the timeout, but it was actually after there was a stop on the court. Or there was a stoppage in play. But what ticked me off is that since this is a team that you're going up against that is very athletic in size, and you're going to have to get rebounds off of them, you need to put Tobias Harris and PJ Tucker back out there. That's what has to happen. Or at least put Jalen McDaniels in there. Like, that's better than nothing. Niang's not going to get you rebounds. Like, you know what I'm saying? You have to have your rebounders out there. And Doc waited until like 3.5 minutes left in the game to put back in PJ Tucker and Tobias Harris. It's just about the feel of the game. You know that Boston's athletic. You know that they have size on them. You got to match their intensity. And that was another thing that actually kind of made me a little furious. But he made some good play calls down the stretch. I got to give him that too. He did. And James Harden executed them perfectly. Embiid had a couple of really nice passes, especially in that first half. He was passing out of the double teams, finding guys like PJ Tucker wide open, finding Tobias Harris a couple of times. He was doing that. And Doc did a good job with the play calling. However, I have to be both sided here. You know, I have to criticize him for not matching athleticism, but he made up for it, and he called some really good plays. I had to point that out because he was not perfect tonight either. And then also, I will give him credit for one other thing. At the very end, he was all in the refs' faces when the whole Jason Tatum thing happened, and he even brought it up during the press conference, okay? He had every right to do that. He really did. That tells me that there's something left in this team. And there you have it. All right, I want to hear what you guys have to say. All right, I'm going to look at your comments down below. Also, if you want to join the Discord server and if you want to talk to me on voice chat, you can totally do that right now. We're actually live over here too. So join the Discord server. It's in the link down below in the description area. You just click on the link. You can join, and then you can also, come into the voice chat, talk with me, and let's talk about this game. I'll be on here for a little bit, so I want to hear, though, what you guys have to say. Okay, so here we go. So we got some comments here. Oh, man, let's go, bro. Wow, Sixers. Yo, James Harden, playoff PJ. Yeah, man, I thought that PJ Tucker was really big, man. LC, I appreciate you for coming on here, as always. James Harden was huge tonight. If I didn't give him his praise, man, he was incredible. And I don't apologize for anything I said because I knew that he had this in him. That game one was not a fluke, okay? It was not. He was beating guys off the dribble. He was establishing the mid-range. He wasn't afraid. He had the killer instinct in him tonight. And he took that game over. He can do this. Just has to step up. That's all he has to do. 42 points for him. It was outstanding. Every big bucket that he hit was huge down the stretch. The only big bucket that he didn't hit that I thought was that was by somebody else. That was PJ Tucker. And I'm telling you, PJ Tucker making that and one on that putback like that I really feel like saved the game and potentially saved their season because they needed that. You know what I'm saying? W. Harden. Yeah, man. Hey, what's up, Snowman? I appreciate you for coming on here, man. A big game. What's up, JJ? Huge win for the Sixers tonight. Yeah, that was... I'm going to tell you, like, okay, it got ugly. It got ugly down the stretch. It really did. I was scared. I just said that I was going through, like, the 5 stages of grief because I'm not even joking about it. Like, I was deep down depressed, and I was so scared, and I really tried to, like, not, like, let that come out, you know? And I wanted the Sixers to win this series because I wanted this to be for me, you know, to help me with everything that I'm doing on here, you know. And my brother, unfortunately, I don't want to get like too personal, but like he passed away like 3 years ago, and you know I've been really trying to just believe in myself and just go forward with doing this. And the Sixers, they've been a team that I've been following for a lot of time, and you know I want them to get over this hump. You know what I'm saying? So I was literally going through my own emotions personally while I was doing this game, and just to battle with that adversity and the fact that they were able to come out on top and James Harden answered the bell even when the big man, when the MVP was being guarded by Al Horford, and Horford was doing that good of a job. The MVP stepped up. The Sixers may have had a little bit of luck. Smart didn't make the, he didn't make the three-pointer in overtime. But I'll tell you what, I don't understand why Joe Mazzulla didn't call that timeout. He had 2 timeouts left. And I was thinking for sure he's going to call a timeout here. Tatum has the hot hand. You want to try to regroup the troops, right? And try to steal this game. You have 2 timeouts. I'm just saying, like, there's strategy that goes into this. And there's so many what-if factors, okay? But, yes, the Sixers may have gotten a little bit lucky, but I go back and forth because the refs were making some really bad calls against the Sixers. The Celtics had opportunities to make shots, and they weren't making their shots. This is just how basketball works. And so let's, like, have the conversation of, the Sixers, they almost blew it, but they won the game. A playoff game against your biggest rival of all time. And you even the series, and now it's a best of 3. Now you have to go to Boston. You got to take a game there and then defend home court too. So, well, glad that they won and that they helped you out. Yeah, man, I appreciate it. That was really big. Yes. The other thing I wanted to also mention too was I know that Tobias Harris has been really cold, but I felt like even with the way that Tobias Harris was playing and with the way that, other guys were playing tonight, I actually thought that some of these guys made some little impact, like, or had some big moments, like, down the stretch, impact. And this was a team effort. They put their blood, sweat, and tears into this game from the first 3 quarters until, from the first 3 quarters and like the last 3 minutes of regulation into overtime. That was like, if they were to lose this game, that would have been a heartbreaker because they fought through so much adversity and they were showing you that they were going to try to really outplay everybody, and they did. I'm praying that this doesn't like make James Harden or other guys feel sore and take them out, because they still have a job to do in Boston on Tuesday, and they got to show up there. They certainly do. But I'm really praying that it doesn't take that big of a toll on them, and we'll just have to wait and see how that works out. But you got to step up. Game 5, man. You got the job done, though, and you won today. That's how you have to look at it. It wasn't pleasing, but they won. And James Harden was great. He wasn't just good. He had one of the best games of his career tonight. This was a legacy game for James Harden. And boy, did he shut up a lot of haters. But we had every right to criticize him in Game 2 and Game 3 because he was 2 for 13 from the field, 2 for 14 from the field. That's unacceptable because we know, or at least I know, that he's better than that. And I'm still going to put pressure on him, man. Like, if you're making your shots, great. If you're not making your shots, do other things. Get the teammates involved, right? Maybe you're going to have to pass the ball a little bit more, and maybe you're going to have to be a little bit more unselfish. If Harden's not having a good night, okay, let's try to get Tobias Harris going. Let's try to get Tyrese Maxey going. If Embiid's not having a good night, okay, well, we have to do something different. We have to change up the game plan. Maybe we try to get Embiid fouled a little bit more, and we try to slow the game down if he's not making his mid-range jumpers, so then we can just try to feed him in the post and try to play the foul game and hope Boston bites. That has to be the strategy. In-game adjustments. And Tuesday, this is going to be the climax of the series, in my opinion. Take the bull by the horn and take care of business. All right, we're going to shut things down now, but I do appreciate you guys for coming on here. Again, in the future, if you guys want to come on the Discord, make sure that you join my Discord server. You can also join the live chat. I know that I was going to go on at 8 o'clock, but then this game was just absolutely crazy, and I wanted to just take notes, and I wanted to listen to what the players had to say. James Harden, I gotta tell you, I'm really proud of how he performed because he also did it for the kid too, and that was really special. Seeing him on the court in the wheelchair, James Harden's giving him his shoes and everything, and that kid just got to witness James Harden putting on a performance like that with all the adversity that he's dealt with. Maybe that motivated him. I don't know. That was special. That's why I got a little bit emotional at the end. Because that's what sports does. When things are going really well, or when you get to see your idol do something and you have battled through a lot of adversity yourself and you get to see how he was able to overcome adversity in this game, that's incredible. You can't write that up. It's not scripted. And it's touching. All right, thank you all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys. Okay, we're going to make the schedule in a little bit, so we know that there's going to be at least a Game 6. So that's definitely for certain. We won't know until after Game 6 if there will be a Game 7. But, again, Phillies and Sixers, that's what we're doing right now. That's been what's really keeping us busy, and I'm happy that the Sixers are still able to make this a series because I'm going to have June, July, and August and September to do baseball. And I love baseball. I truly do. But I just, there's just something to be said about playoff basketball and doing two sports at once that just makes it so much more fun, So, and I'm looking forward to that. All right. Well, that's going to wrap things up. I'm Jason Joseph. This is Play-by-Play with JJ. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe at the bell icon as well. And I will catch you all on the next one. Peace out.